back. Rodrance for Black and White Network. Well, you guys know that if it's Monday, we are gathered here today to once again shine a spotlight on the further destruction of one city of Chicago. Why? Point of fact, urban violence. People running amok, causing chaos, shootings everywhere. Once again, let us just have the friendly reminder that Illinois got some of the toughest gun laws, maybe the toughest gun laws in all of the country. But, you know, people with common sense, meaning not Democrats, fully understand that, well, criminals don't give a rip about your gun laws. In point of fact, they don't work. And you have what we have from this past weekend. And, of course, as we do every week, we've got the number of people shot, number of people killed. Oh, my goodness. A running tally of how many people that have been killed so far this year, and it is repugnant. As it always is with Democratic leadership in Chicago, it's more of the same. You went from Lori Lightfoot, a total and complete and utter disaster, to calling in somebody out of the bullpen that is even worse. I mean, who possibly could have thought you could have got somebody that ran the Brittany Griner black lesbian woman trifecta, woke trifecta as we like to call it, you would call somebody in worse than her. But congratulations, you voted this in. I know some of you that watch this channel did not. I mean, last weekend, how many kids? 400? Destroy the 7-Eleven, and then you got your mayor sauntering out there worried about the wording that is being used to refer to these hoodlums. Oh, hoodlums? Is that good for you? You don't want them called the mob. Hoodlums? How about thugs? I mean, just wondering, Brandon Johnson, at what point do I hit the mark? Hello? Is this on? Let's get to this. My goodness. Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And we got the police president. He has come out. He has slammed Brandon Johnson, by the way, over those remarks, over the kids. When I said, personally speaking, yeah, it's kind of an insult to Al Capone at this point, I think. I mean, truly. You know, at least the mob did have some guidelines that they went by to try to shield the everyday citizen from some of their violence. That was a thing. It's always been a thing in the mob. With these folks, nah, pull out guns, start shooting. If kids die, who cares? It's truly cringeworthy. It's epically and tragically cringeworthy because you got cringe that is ending people's lives. My God, at what point do you decide to vote Republican up there? I don't get it. Or why are you okay with this? It's baffling. It's sad. This is Breitbart. At least 23 shot during the weekend in Mayor Brandon Johnson's Chicago. ABC 7 and the Sun-Times reported the first fatal shooting occurred around 2:40 a.m. in the 1500 block of West 18th Street. 36-year-old man was shot in the chest. He was transported to the hospital. There he died. Early on Sunday, a man was found shot to death in the 700 block of South Leamington Avenue. No details. A third shooting, 8:15 p.m., 5700 block of South Payne Drive. Following an argument, a man pulled a gun and opened fire. A man pulled a gun and opened fire on a 16-year-old and two 18-year-olds and a 53-year-old man. One of the 18-year-olds were shot and succumbed to his wounds. The Sun-Times pointed out 372 people have now been shot since January 1 to August 13th. And don't worry, we've got even more. Let's see. Multiple bullet casings were marked at that Payne Drive shooting. Another incident, a man found dead in the Austin neighborhood. Wow. I guess that's the one around South Leamington Avenue. And so far, I guess that is literally the only details we've got on somehow 23 shootings and 4 that were dead. Now, John Catanzara, he is the Fraternal Order of Police President, John Catanzara. As you can expect, he's not happy with Brandon Johnson. I mean, who should be? That's him right there. He's come out. You've had a radical DA up there, a lot like these radical DAs all over the country, that it's just a revolving door. Let me shoot you in the jail and shoot you right back out of jail. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I offended somebody by using the word shoot. Well, in Chicago, they're really familiar with that word, so you'll be okay. Not if you live up there, but if you don't, you'll probably be okay. Fraternal Order of Police President John Catanzara unloaded on Mayor Brandon Johnson on Friday for referring to the ransacking of his South Loop convenience store as a teen quote, trend and not a, quote, mob action, and for telling reporters it was inappropriate to refer to the children as like baby Al Capones. Yeah, again, it's an insult to Al Capone. In a YouTube video to the police rank and file that focused largely on the independent arbitrator's 2 rulings favorable to the union, Catanzara condemned Johnson as the city hall's equivalent of a permissive parent who would rather make excuses for young children wreaking havoc than to hold them accountable for their criminal behavior. Of course. Of course. That's exactly what he's doing. Nothing to see here. Please move along. Oh, they're just kids being kids. Once again, I said I don't know any kids like that. I didn't know any kids like that growing up. I didn't. I mean, really? Pull out Glocks? Pull out 9 mils? Start unloading? I guess I didn't get the memo when I was a kid that was supposed to be part of weekend behavior as a child. Oh, they're just blowing off a little steam and then hitting the streets and blowing people's heads off. That's baffling to me. Quote, the teen takeover on Roosevelt Road was not a teen takeover. Catanzara said it was looting. It was mob action. It is in the ordinance of Mr. Mayor. Look it up. It's also a state statute. I would hope you'd be familiar with that. Quote, nobody is renaming anybody Little Mini Al Capones, but they certainly in many cases had the same terrorizing effect that Al Capone had 100 years ago with these teen takeovers where they think they can do whatever they want with no repercussions, no parental supervision, and no accountability. Specifically apparent by the mayor's office in City Hall. Who wants to excuse all of this bad behavior because Chicago has a past? So that means do whatever in the hell you want, apparently. Whoa. Brandon Johnson just got smoked. Verbally, anyway. Johnson is a former teacher and paid organizer of the Chicago Teachers Union. I mean, look, of all the unions, is it possible the Teachers Union has become the most dangerous and worthless of all unions? I mean, we saw how these teachers acted, and we're seeing how they act around the country right now, trying to push the alphabet agenda into your child's school system. We're seeing that's who they're hiring, who they want to work, and of course, they were all scared to death over the COVID virus when it was going around and did not want to go back to the classrooms. By the way, there is now numbers pouring out all over the country of how this has affected the children that did not go to school. You can thank teachers' unions for that. God, it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, we knew he had come from the teachers' union, but still, nonetheless, I mean, Chicago somehow, some way is going to go further down the shitter because of this guy. On Friday, Catanzara accused the mayor of taking the CTU's lead and making excuses for bad behavior like they have done for many years in the school system. Not giving quality education, indoctrinating kids, and making them victims where they think they're entitled to behave any way they want because of past wrongs, either perceived or in reality. It's a terrible way to govern a city. You just got destroyed, Brandon Johnson. Bravo, John. Good job. You are slowly destroying it bit by bit by bit. Until your rhetoric changes, this probably doesn't get any better. It only gets worse. On Wednesday, the mayor applauded police for their restraint in only arresting 40 youths. They probably could have or should have arrested 400. But you've re-imaged the police, which is still just a colorful socialist way of saying defund the police because we want to stroll some other folks out there with some title to try to help with violence in the city. And you're going to get their asses shot off, ultimately. I cannot wait for that headline, sadly, when one of these social people gets blasted because, yeah, you thought it was a good idea to send them out there instead of the police. You moron. Johnson also scolded reporters who questioned his use of the word trend and mob action. We're not talking about mob action, Johnson said. But we have to be very careful when we use language to describe certain behavior. No, the hell you don't. And you're part of the problem, and that's part of the problem. You don't have to worry about the wording. The wording is not picking up a gat and blasting somebody and some poor little 6-year-old riding in the back of the car that takes a stray. Nobody gives a rip about the wording. You're turning out a conveyor belt of criminals up there out of your school system that you were involved with. It's crazy. Just let's continue the same cycle over and over again. Again, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Crazy. And that's the priorities here. You're worried about wording and offending some teams that Brandon Johnson would probably blast your ass if they had the chance. I mean, honestly. All the while, keep in mind, Brandon Johnson went from Lori Lightfoot's 70 police bodyguards to 149. Well, hell, what are you worried about? You're walking around with a small army. But the everyday citizen, the taxpayers, how about the businesses moving out? They're all affected by your curd-all policies. It's ridiculous. That governor's ridiculous up there, too. I mean, truly, folks, if you vote red, get the hell out of Dodge. It's a deep blue cesspool up there. It's unbelievable. It truly is. 23 more shot, 4 more dead, 372 for the year, and a total and complete clown. You know, growing up, there was and it's still up there, WGN, right? The Cubs growing up, Harry Carey. I mean, I was a huge baseball fan. Much bigger than football growing up. Baseball was my sport. And I watched probably 180 baseball games a year. I'd come in from school, my goodness, the Cubs came on, in the mid-afternoon. Turn them on the TV. They played day games, right? This was before they got lights at Wrigley. Harry Carey, Steve Stone. I mean, I remember Tom Brenneman, the great Tom Brenneman, the son, who's now ousted from baseball because he offended some people. I mean, it's crazy. White Sox baseball. I turned on WGN. in the mornings. Anybody remember Bozo the Clown? Yeah. And they would throw the little balls in the buckets up there on WGN, and I got so excited as a kid. I'm from Texas, right? I'm in Texas. That was awesome. Bozo. Everybody knew who Bozo was. Well, congratulations. Bozo has made his triumphant return to Chicago, and his name is Brandon Johnson. Tell me what you think, Black and White Network supporters. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.